And welcome back, everyone, to Who Would Win? Who Would Win? That's tomorrow. Lantern Corp. Late Lantern Corp, because as it turns out, I had already done Accelerator at one point. Someone had to remind me in the comments. I really got to do a good job of checking when I pick one if I've done it before, because I've not done this for so long. I run the risk of just repeating, because people, I've done so many now that people sometimes don't know I've done the topic. So, yeah. Anyway, from Scott, we have Gru from the Despicable Me series. This one I can confirm I haven't done. I looked through everything I had. I haven't done it. And Gru is an interesting character because he is more or less your protagonist throughout the film of both Despicable Me and what was it? The Rise of Gru. He is the guy you're following and rooting for. Even though he's, at least in the first film, he is at least a bad guy. He classifies himself as a villain. But does that make you, just because you're a bad guy, does that make you a bad guy? Who will be there? They've got head and 3 legs like the little sparrow's egg. But yeah, so he's kind of interesting in an emotional spectrum because right out the gate, he's not anything on the right side of this picture right here. He's not a sorrow lantern. Certainly not. Never had a moment of being that sad in his life, from what we can tell. Although his relationship with his mom's a little tumultuous. That's nothing. He's also not a gold lantern, though. Not perpetually happy his whole life. Very few lanterns would be a gold lantern. He's not a lantern of shame. Yeah, he might regret some of his past, but he's moved beyond it. He's also neither white nor black. He has nothing to do with death. And despite the fact he's a dad, I really wouldn't factor much of a life in there. So that leaves us with the core 7 left. Now, I'll just go down the list right now. And I'll leave the number one for last. I don't see him as a Blue Lantern very much. Like, yeah, he adopted the kids and therefore hope was placed in him to take care of them by them. But he just doesn't strike me as a character who is very much a character of faith, or people put their faith in him, at least to the extent that a Blue Lantern would. So I don't see that. But I would say at least first movie Gru could be an Avarice Lantern, because there's no real reason to be stealing things, stealing the moon, other than you can. That's it. Other than you can and you want to. And that's kind of greed in a nutshell. There's no reason to want something other than you want it. So I think avarice is at least on the table answer. But then what about compassion? Well, Gru is never without compassion to whatever degree. And so I would say, no, I don't. And obviously he gained a lot more of it as time went on. So no, I don't see compassion being it. He's also not a Red Lantern Rage, certainly not, and not a Yellow Lantern either. While Gru is respected and well known in the villainous community, he's not a lantern of fear. Unfortunately, he's not someone who inspires fear. So that leaves only 2 left, and they are the 2 remaining ones. Will is not a bad option. He does have a lot of willpower. He's had to overcome great fear before. And it takes a lot of willpower to do what he does. And he's very creative and imaginative. So Will could definitely work. But when you talk about Gru, especially as we get to like the 4th movie, no, he's a lantern of love at this point. He loves his family. He will do anything to protect and abide and protect them. So I think he's almost like a textbook love lantern, because everything now, his motivation is simply out of love. And I mean, a little lust for life, sure, but that's not enough to be a White Lantern. He, again, especially when it came to his infant son in the 4th movie, oh, no, he will do everything to protect that kid. Everything he can. So I think Gru is actually, weirdly enough, a Lantern of Love. He's a Star Sapphire Lantern. At least at least as his progression as a character has continued. So, anyway, I digress. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.